Alrighty, there we go, we are live. Hey, what's going on everybody? It's good to be back. It's another day. It's been a pretty exhausting day for me, but I did make sure to save some energy for you guys. What's going on everybody? Mangotra, it's Kyle. Welcome to the stream, bro. It's your first time here. That's pretty cool. And Wix, good to see you. And give me your account. That's quite the demand. Andy, good to see you. The one above all, what's going on? You were trolling. We do have quite a fair share of trolls in the chat, so you will fit right in. Anyway, I hope the rest of you guys are having a decent night. I do have a bit of a different stream for you guys planned today. You guys typically, if you've been on my streams recently, might know me for using Hydra. However, today there will be absolutely no Hydra because I do want to take this season to explore new meta. I do think that we are looking at a different balance. A couple seasons ago, it was pretty clear to me that Hydra was the strongest strategy. But now that I have spent some time with some other armies, I don't think that's the case anymore, although Hydra is definitely up there. Zorgo, hey, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Dr. Victor Von Doom. Yes, I am Dr. Doom. So today, essentially what we're going to be looking at are these two armies right here. So this army number 2 is the Hydra army that I've been using. And this army number 1 does have the revenge deck, as you can see right here. And then this army number 3 is with Fireball together with Rocket Loons and Super Minions. I do want to use this army today because I have seen one of my, not clanmates, but he is in my Discord server. He might be in the stream chat actually. His name is So. He's from some kind of wonder. Let me see if I can pull up that clan real quick. SKW So. He might not be in the clan at the moment, but he's definitely high in rank with this strategy. So maybe I can find him on the leaderboard, potentially. Sud, what's going on? Good to see you. I gotta boost you, gang. You seem like you're the GOAT. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Adrenaline, one of my friends also on the server, is in a decent rank. I'm surprised I haven't come across So yet, or maybe I accidentally skipped him. Here he is, global rank 99, and when you look at his offense, I have to go over here to check his offense properly. You will see that he does have a 3.0 average for the season. Right here, average 99.9% destruction per hit, although his defense is kind of taking a beating as well. Otherwise, I do think he would definitely be a little higher in rank. And this is the combination he's using. Shirag, hey, what's going on? Good to see you. Do you need to max the revenge deck, or is level 21 enough? So far in my experimenting that I've been doing with this army, have only been using level 27, but there are a lot of people saying that it is mostly effective up to like level 18, and then between level 19 and 27 the increases are only just slightly incremental. However, I have been practicing this strategy in esports. Let's see if I can pull up a base real quick and try to show you guys how this is working in esports. Level 23 is enough? Yeah, level 23 for most equipments will get you through the early stages of the meta discovery, because typically in the first couple weeks of the equipment, that's the level that most people will have it at. Okay, let's take a look at this base, for example. This is just a one of my random bases I pulled up, although I was practicing this earlier and I'm pretty sure I tripled this base. And so essentially my approach here is to try to get the Duke as close into the core as I can, try to make the most of the ice block spell. So how would I start this? I think I would start by putting my throwers down here. You do need to keep in mind their range and obviously the amount of time it takes for them to work. I do think that if I've timed this properly, the Duke should go directly into the long shot Guardian, hopefully. Just like so. And I do think that he can continue to work and get some good value. I did pop my Queen ability right then. Now let's give him this Ice Block spell. And honestly, I think I can send my king anywhere, like directly into the core there. Hopefully that works. And you can see how the Duke is still alive here. Absolutely kicking. I've just put Overgrowth over there where there was a bunch of extra damage. And then I'm going to use my freezes once this Overgrowth wakes up. And then obviously revive my Duke as well. Although I'm not exactly sure which one is the Duke. I think it's the one on the bottom. It is. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is enough to triple the base. I could be wrong. Let's just put this invis over on the Warden now so he doesn't get taken out. And that is essentially the idea here. I do worry about the air defense, so I'm going to wait for that to go down. And then revive the Duke. And that is an esports modifier 3 stars. With this strategy, I do think I will be using this as well in Legend League. If it works in esports, obviously it works great. It should work great in Legends 1. And yeah, it's very rare that I do say that strategies from esports can carry over as well as this one does, but as you can see, there's no damage equipment here, there's no quakes or zaps, so you don't have to worry about trying to convert the spells between the modifiers. Personally, I think the backpack arrow is still better. I definitely think that you might have a strong point there. How do you deal with corner invis town halls? Actually, one of the cool mechanics about the revenge deck is the fact that the cards do trigger the invis. So, like for example, if a multi-inferno, I'm trying to look to see if I have a base like that. I think I might. I can show you one of these mechanics. Accept me in GE, yes I will. I'm getting right to that actually. One second. Okay. I will give you my base for a friendly challenge. Try my base. Yes, let's try that out. Throwers were doing pretty bad in yesterday's qualifiers because they were baited a lot, and yeah, that's another point I want to mention is that I do think that throwers can be a bit predictable in terms of like building bases against. Like, if you spend enough time with throwers, then you notice that the approaches will look pretty similar on a lot of different bases. So with that does come the fact that it can be pretty easy to track them. I'm trying to post a base with a corner town hall just so I can show you guys quickly this mechanic of the revenge check. So if you do place the Duke in such a way where he even if he's not over at the Invis Tower itself, as long as he's getting some kind of damage from it, like this multi-inferno, those cards that he throws right there do trigger the Invis, even though the Duke is obviously himself not targeting those defenses. So this is one good way to deal with some Invis towers. Although you could potentially do the same with the throwers themselves. Try that old base for a friendly challenge. This one, not so sure. Let's try Mangotra's base here. My screen is not responding to my inputs for some reason. Fizzy, hey, what's going on? It's good to see you. Do you think the Revenge Shower could have stopped the 9/11? That's a good question. Good question. If they built the Twin Towers as strong as the Revenge Shower? It's a good question. All accounts hits today. I will be definitely going through quite a bit. This is the strategy I have been putting into practice. I think my average with this so far is around 280. Like on this account, I did 260 in the previous league day with a, I think that this reset was in the top 1,000, but going minus 33 does take me out of the top 1,000. And I had some other accounts which did like 294, 297. But Noctis, he probably did take that challenge. It's totally fine. I just want to see how it handles that base. You definitely have to have some kind of a I don't know the best word, but I guess maybe like experiment or experience, I should say, with the throwers. Maybe that is the best way to describe what I'm trying to say, because the thing about throwers is that you can't really take like I don't know the best way to verbalize what it is I want to say, but the more time you spend with throwers, the easier it is to understand how quickly they move. Because not only the placement is crucial, but also the timing of everything. Let's take a look how I would get this base. I have a feeling that I would probably run some kind of a troop launcher approach here of some kind. A log launcher might be a little bit too tricky to manage, because a log launcher approach would work by going into the monolith or the multi-gear. So let's just try this. And then I will do my best to manage the backside with the overgrowth. Although that is kind of tricky. I've already messed up the pathing of my Duke here. He was obviously meant to go towards the town hall, but he is now following some ground skeletons or something. Did not get the split I was looking for. I might have to retry this. It does look like it is somewhat coming along together how I initially imagined. Let's revive the Duke here, and then give him this Icebox spell. Hopefully that does get some value. I do notice that the best place to use the Icebox spell is anywhere near an air defense. I think I've revived my king instead of the Duke by mistake. I think that's going to cost me in this case. If the Duke had any chance of making it through the Revenge Tower. But it's hard to say because there's also some air targeting defenses. So maybe this approach was incorrect. I still don't know the best approach for each base, but this might end up just time failing in the end. And I did waste some time in the planning. Neo, hey, what's going on? Good to see you, bro. It is good to see you. Will you play in Legend League in the next CWL? Actually, I will not. My plan is to play Titan 1 in this clan. Let me show you this clan. I will be playing in Titan 1 and giving Legend League a break. I'm happy with what we accomplished this month. However, next month I would like to focus on continuing the league push in our other clans. Tibetan they did, yeah. If you can get a good split between the Duke and the throwers, but also get a good pathing for the Duke to make it into the core, because I think that was the biggest complication. My plan was for the Duke to obviously go in between these couple of air defenses very early, but the Duke followed the ice golems. So definitely a mistake how I managed to CC. And so yeah, that is the overall gist of what we're looking at in terms of strategy for today. However, with the fireball, I do think I'm a little more prone to mistakes. Let's see here. So the first thing you want to think of with this strategy here, the fireball, is obviously where you're going to drop your flame flinger, and as well your fireball, and also the giant arrow backpack. So I do think that the best obvious fireball is the one with the rage shower rate. It would be a little bit disappointing if I did not go for that. I did unfortunately make a mistake with my flinger by putting it into the range of the multi-archer tower. Bit of a silly mistake, but if the rest of this goes well, I do think I can still triple. It's kind of a waste of a flinger, isn't it? Did get some good value there with the giant arrow backpack. And I do think that the best plan for the revenge tower will be to send the king into that. Although I do have to be careful about the town hall, since that does mean that my warden's objective is to pick up the town hall there. Maybe I can think about letting the Duke handle the revenge tower. I'm going to pick up the warden here, obviously because of the healers. I don't want them to get lost in the sauce there. and let's send the king more so this way, right? Hopefully this has done enough of a job here to triple, although it might not have. It is very close, and it is 3 stars, even with that flinger fail. And I did 4x through the end a little bit, but obviously I did that because I knew the Duke was going to handle the rest. GE in top 9, yes, that was a pretty nice finish, wasn't it? Global top 9 in the Clan War League leaderboard, the first ever in a few months. Flame Flinger is not a must, honestly. Log Launcher works great, you're absolutely right. But I do think looking for Flame Flinger value is always a good option, and especially for me because I need some more practice with the Flinger. That's what I think. I think that managing the Warren charge together with the Flinger is a bit of a weakness of mine. And a big reason why I'm time failing a lot of my attacks. Let's see here. I do think this is another case that I can run the Flinger in this top corner. I obviously have to look out for the Expo once I get close to it, but I can at least just start with this right away. I do want to be careful about dropping a Furnace on that top corner because of the double ricochet cannon. But I will run a Furnace down here with the Warden. Now the interesting thing is obviously the fire damage that will be impacting the Expo there. I can take advantage of that as well to pick off the Expo right there. By dropping 3 rocket looms instead of 4. Now I do hope that has done a good enough job of setting the Warden up there, and the Flinger is still going, but I obviously now should think about dropping a something over here. It does look like dropping the double Furnace on the Warden was a mistake. And unfortunately I did miss the backpack arrow there, so it's definitely going to be a complication on the backside once I get there. Yeah, and you can see how quickly this one fell apart, unfortunately. I'm probably going to have to use the revive on the Duke here to pick up the Town Hall. And honestly, I'm not even sure if I'll be able to. This is clear proof that I still obviously need more practice with this. That one did fall apart a little bit, didn't it? Yeti Ice Golem is to support the Queen. Yes, I do use a Yeti often to set up the Flinger because it does a great job with the Expos, but the Druid and the Ice Golems are primarily for the Queen and the Duke. Primarily. What should I use at Town Hall 16? Throwers or Root Riders? I would definitely suggest Root Riders. I would definitely, for Town Hall 16 and 17. Root Riders are an amazing option. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? I I do think that there is a decent flinger value over here. I would just have to grab this mortar right here. And you can see there's not really a ton of space for traps as well, so it does look pretty easy to manage this bottom area. Let's drop a furnace there. And then I'll set up a fireball to go into the close by the CC. Okay. I did use an extra quake, but I miscalculated here, unfortunately. I was expecting that the fireball would hit the CC, so maybe that means I need to leave the revenge shower up, which is not ideal. The only thing I would have left to handle the revenge shower properly is my king. So let's just drop the quakes right here. And then finish this. And then hopefully the queen and the duke together can do a good job to take down the town hall this time, unlike the previous hit. I can use poison right on them right now, unfortunately. It does not look like neither the queen nor the duke want the town hall, but I will get it one way or another. And yeah, the king is in a good position to go some way into the revenge shower. I think I'm going to use these rocket loons as funneling for the king. Like so. And you can see how this one obviously went pretty smoothly. With some decent bit of swag. Syed, hey, what's going on? Good to see you. I see you are hero diving on the town hall. On this base it worked out quite nicely though. I would definitely say that it might have been a error in the base building, obviously, to put an archer tower right here. So conveniently placed for this value. I do think that Warden charging the Town Hall is a little bit risky when you only have some totem spells to work with. I think Dark prefers to bring some other spells. Isn't that right? I could be wrong. I kind of want to set up a fireball to go through the Town Hall in this case. I do think that looks quite presentable. Although I'm not sure the best place to drop a flame flinger. Maybe just in this top corner we'll have to do. It's almost nothing, but essentially what I'm trying to set up here is a fireball on the Town Hall. I think I can get it. Let's check that invis, and then this one. And obviously I'm dealing with a long shot guardian, so I don't have to worry about the logger pushback damaging my healers. That does work out for me. And yeah, see my My flinger does open early there, but I did find a nice opportunity to shoot the giant arrow there. I'm hoping I can get a good angle here for the king soon. Should be time for a recall right there. And then hopefully I can manage the rest here. Does look like it went by smoothly enough for me to just revive the Duke. Seconds, is that enough? I have a feeling it is, right? You can't mount the Town Hall compartment with 3 super minions. Yeah, the super minions do a great job of dealing with the Town Hall. I think that's why they are a favorable option. Back in Town Hall 17, the Town Hall itself was a weapon, and so that's why it was always nice to have the extra rocket launch. WoW leader, new army, yes, this is a fireball with the giant arrow backpack. Although the siege of choice here is the flame flinger. I do feel a little bit skeptical about the flame flinger sometimes. There's a lot of defenses now that can counter that pretty easily. In this case, I don't think I want to go for a fireball on the Town Hall. I think a fireball on the monolith makes a little more sense here. So let's at least get the flinger started. The flinger is what takes the longest, so that's why we start with that first. And then just start the warden. The queen and the duke do work relatively quickly together, so I do have time to get those started. I did unfortunately lose my flinger there. Not exactly, but pretty close. I think what I will target here is actually the revenge tower. Just like so. These witches are going to be the end of me, aren't they? There's witches coming from the CC, which I don't really have the best plan for. I used my poison a little early. Yeah, I think I did lose my warden in a bit of a precarious manner. I've revived my Duke, but there are still a couple of air defenses. So as long as those do not target the Duke, then I should be clear for 3 stars here. That's another triple. It's definitely hard to swag with this army for me, but I do think that once I have some more practice, I should be able to consistently find some leftover spells. This is only my 3rd league day with this strategy. I used this in the 2 previous league days. There are a lot of bases actually where you can get decent flinger value. Believe it or not. Although if a base is specifically designed to counter the flame flinger, then it does render it almost pretty much useless. That is a statement of fact. I think I'm going to drop the Yeti here. The goal is to pick up the Expo. Hopefully that's enough. Not quite, one more. And then the flinger. And then hopefully that's enough, although there's another mortar. I'm just gonna snipe it. I'm officially out of rocket loans. But the payoff is obviously the fact that the flinger can go for a bit. Yeah, it does look like my flinger opened early. Not ideal. And unfortunately I missed my arrow, so I do think that is going to finish me by the end of this. I probably need to send my king into the town hall now. And just focus on making the most of that. I think I've made enough mistakes here. We can revive the Duke, but it's literally just for percentage. You guys can see pretty clearly how the value I miss is going to stop me in the end, at the very least. I'm getting demoted, that's unfortunate. You're switching to this army, you definitely want to get some good practice with this. And Guts, hey, what's going on? The thumbnail is dope, I'm glad you like it. That is a thumbnail that I did make with AI. I don't want to take like full credit, but it does definitely raise the question of whether the revenge deck fits in this new meta or not, right? I'm doing some fireball hits at the moment, but that's because I know that this army is capable of doing multiple 320s. I can prove that pretty easily to you guys. Not myself, but at least by showing you guys a player that is 3.0. I do think that the easiest flinger to go for is just right down here. And one furnace. I'll drop another one furnace right here. And the third, I guess I'll save for after the recall. Did unfortunately spawn a couple of witches here, so I do think that this third furnace is going to pay its dividends. And I do unfortunately almost lose the flinger. Made a mistake there, and yeah, that does again pretty much call it for this hit, right? I think I'm just going to play it safe here over by the town hall and just eliminate some value right on that. I can potentially try to play some tricks by thinking about reviving the warden, because I do have the healers packed inside of a recall spell. So I do think that could potentially be viable. Although there's quite a lot of damage, right? Oh, there's going to be some rage damage. Maybe not as viable as I hoped. I'm just going to drop the healers there and then save the revive for percentage. I think that's kind of where we're at here. And now where's the Duke? Is he the one over on the... I hope so. Yeah, a decent recovery, considering what went wrong with both the flinger and the warden. Hamad, hey, what's going on? It's good to see you. Do you like this army better than Hydra Revenge Duke? To be honest with you, I have been moving away from Hydra. I have been moving away from it, and I'm making that choice for the long term, by the way. I'm not making that choice because I think Hydra sucks, because obviously it is still quite effective. You still see a lot of players in the global top 10 rocking Hydra. But I do think that we will eventually find ourselves once again in a meta that rewards ground attackers. I think I will go again with a plan for a simple fireball to grab the CC. That does seem the most concrete. I can go for a pretty similar flame flinger, but obviously I have to do a better job managing that, right? Nice Teslas, actually. Those Teslas did a good job there. I think I reacted appropriately, but... do eliminate the CC there, but I do hope that the... Yeah, I was gonna say that I hope the worm continues this way. I think he can potentially trigger the Invis, which would be nice. That would mean that I can potentially think about going for some different value. So like this. Just like that, actually. Now hopefully this does do enough for me. It looks like I've done plenty enough. I think I might have some swag on my hands as well. I did lose my queen there by mistake. Another 3 stars. So far the attacks are going well. I'm currently a global rank 56, although I guess 268 is not exactly the benchmark, right? But at least you guys can see what I'm working with, at least with full transparency, right? Clean hit, thank you. If only I could use those spells on the attacks I'm failing, right? Might have some extra trophies picked up there. I think that's proof of what a tricky strategy this is to manage with all the spells. I'm thinking about doing a giant arrow backpack on the Revenge Tower and a fireball on the monolith. The flinger does look a little bit easier to protect on this particular layout. Let's try this. And thankfully there's no Teslas in this particular occasion here. And I guess for this other expo I can just use a bunch of rocket looms. Like that. And I guess that the multi-gear tower is going to be the where the flinger ends, which is honestly fun. Let's see where the warden goes. He does go this way, so I guess I'll take advantage of that. I did unfortunately miss the Inferno with the Quakes, so that's a mistake. Okay. So far things do look like they're developing. Whether that's in a manner that's ideal is still yet to be determined. I'm just wondering why the enemy prince wasn't going down there. Might have to watch that back. We do have some more swag on our hands. Some swag troops. A swag totem. And a swag revive. Pernil, hey, what's going on? AJ, good to see you, bro. Hope you're enjoying the attacks. I'm going for something different from what I typically go for, although I have been practicing this in the last couple days. It's just my first time broadcasting this. You can swag the king if I had the time, right? There was a time constraint. Okay, this base. This used to be popular back in the days of meteor golems. When everyone was using meteor golems. I saw lots of bases that looked similar to this. Although, one of the big drawbacks of using this base is obviously the flinger value. It's actually quite a lot. That one archer was to test for a Tesla, because sometimes people do put some troll Teslas on this particular layout. I do have to pick up that expo for sure. And the good thing is none of those rocket loons do pull any of the CC. Which might not sound like a crazy deal, but it is actually. I did unfortunately miss the fireball here. There's a chance I recover it, but the chance is not great. Let's just recall and get the warden out of danger. If there's any chance that I can use the king to potentially recover that value, then maybe I can recover that. I did get my value there with the giant arrow backpack, which is always nice, right? This might be the end of the path for my warden. Does not look like I put him exactly into safety. Maybe I could have managed that area if I had any spells left over, but unfortunately I do not. Maybe there's a chance if these super minions can go into the monolith, although I don't think that's going to be happening. And yeah, the monolith does stop me in the end. 94% actually, which is not the worst, right? Considering the fireball miss, right? If I'd gotten that fireball, it would have been obviously easier to manage the warden together with the king. Throwing the king into the range of the warden is actually not a bad idea if things are going well in this particular strategy. At least with this king combination, the spiky ball, the fox, and the stick horse, because the king with the stick horse does move faster than the fox. Honestly, I'm just trying to think about giant arrow backpack value. It's not the greatest on this layout, is it? I did miss the fireball, right? Totally. And I'm making all kinds of mistakes. I did miss the CC as well. Yeah, it's a difficult army to manage when you can't come up with a perfectly concrete plan in the initial 30 seconds. That's a statement of fact right there. I just have no idea how I'm going to deal with the monolith. I might even end up sending the warden directly into it in some way. Like something like this, maybe. This is looking like almost a perfect recovery, isn't it? Considering I did miss the fireball again. It's very close. Yeah, 3 stars. Looks like Flame Blower plus Rocket Duke are much stronger with your attack. You might be right because of all the quakes, right? I have a feeling you're right. But the reason I like the Fire Heart is because of the revive. It's not something I practice, so I don't want to throw it in. Ganta, hey, what's going on? Hello, CWL rankings this month. We did finish Global Rank 9, which is pretty nice, isn't it? This base I have to be careful about. I've definitely tripped up over this base once or twice before, despite it looking pretty easy for the strategy. I think I'm gonna struggle already. I can kind of tell. Because I've already missed this Yeti in the start. So if these rocket loons are successful, which they are, then I can at least feel good about the start of this. Let's drop a super minion here. I'm just wondering about the timing of my fireball. It's going to be a little late, and I hope that's not a huge issue. Yeah, it's another fireball miss, actually. I'm gonna have to be extra careful about where I drop the warden after, and I'm already running out of time. Probably should have used one of those ice golems. Yeah, definitely mismanaging. I'm sure with practice I could triple this base, but it's pretty easy to get certain stuff wrong. Like it all went wrong in the beginning with that Yeti, right? I'm just sending my king to go and help secure the town hall at this point. And then reviving the Duke here is literally just for percentage. %, plus 30. The Desi Road Explorer, hey, what's going on? You want me to check your village out real quick? I guess I could take a quick break. I do have 4 more attacks left on this account, and then after that I'll switch to the throwers. If I feel like doing Hydra attacks at the end, then I will, but to be honest with you, I think it's pretty easy to build bases against Hydra. I think that's really the biggest drawback of using Hydra at the moment. Jerry, hey, what's going on? It's good to see you. You love to see me using Fireball again. I love that. And yeah, I'm definitely already feeling kind of at home with the strategy. I definitely still need more practice, but I've been using Fireball since it came out, and that's already almost two years ago, right? Oh, you sent me a tag to Stars' account. He's still using Dragon Riders, which is interesting because they did get the biggest impact from the most recent set of balance changes, right? Throwers is more baited right now than Hydra, yeah, with Spring Traps. But obviously Spring Traps are not an issue with Hydra, right? So you can trap both, and I think it is pretty easy to trap Hydra with some good black airballs. I'm thinking right now about where to drop my Flame Flinger. Maybe in this top corner makes sense, but I do think that the long shot Guardian will eventually go and intercept that, so let's just be careful. I think I dropped one extra rocket loon there by mistake, but it's fine. I'm gonna try my best to drop the Fireball right on the Rage Shower, but if I can save some spells, then I might. For comparable targets, like I think this is fine. Oh, of course that's not fine, but that's my third Fireball miss in a row. Definitely gonna have to recall, right? At least hopefully I can manage the monolith properly with the warden. And then focus on the rest of the setup. And that's lights out for the warden. But thankfully the king is going directly into the I should say the Duke is going directly into the Town Hall. So I can utilize him and the revive and send my king somewhere else. For better percentage, right? '93, which is not bad, plus 30. Not great, but just wanted to ask why you're using the Super Minion variant instead of the original Rocket Loom Fireball. The big reason why Super Minions are in right now is because of the Town Hall. Because when you think about like going up against Town Hall 17, for example, the Town Hall itself was a weapon, a defense, I should say, so Rocket Loons were targeting it directly. And the Super Minions are a perfect alternative to that, to being able to target regular buildings, such as, I guess, the Town Hall now, and the Guardians. And Terra Prime, hello, welcome to the stream. Been using Rocket Loon Fireball Army, yeah. That is what Synthé uses, right? He uses just Fireball Rocket Loons. Okay. The good thing is that the objective is clear for the Fireball, right? And now, as long as I don't miss it, I should have some decent chances here. Now hopefully I don't miss this. And there's a preemptive recall there. Actually, I thought he was going to go end up in some danger. And so maybe this can potentially work for me in terms of management. Did unfortunately lose my one. Let's revive him, because I do think he's going to have the best chances at securing the town hall properly. And again, I've just lost him. I wasn't paying attention to a headhunter. And so now you can see why I like the super minions. Is because they do a better job with cleanup in situations like this. Yeah, I mean, you look away for 2 seconds and you lose the warden. What are your thoughts on this king loadout versus the ball and the bracelet? I do think that the stick horse is a must. And so whether you choose to run that with the giant gauntlet, like a lot of players do, or together with the spiky ball, is a better question. I mean, you look at all my fails and they're all decent percentages. I just clearly need to get the planning a little more concrete. I think that what you do in that 30 seconds before the attack starts makes all the difference with this strategy. Yeah, look at this. It's not great, actually. At least compared to yesterday. I do think that going for the CC is probably the safest course of action, at least for the giant arrow backpack. So let's start with the flinger over here. I think I've just exhausted all of my rocket loads to make the most out of this flinger. Whether that was a correct choice or not, only time will tell. I've already lost my flinger. Does look like this is working out, at least in my favor, for once. Let's send the... This is also where super minions are good, because typically you can't send rocket loons into a raged multi-inferno, but the super minions you absolutely can, and they take it out like nothing. This is definitely one of the big upsides. To using super minions over just straight up rocket loons. We do see quite a lot of raged multi-infernos, don't we? In Town Hall 18. And I think I can just 4x the rest of this, right? Swag an invis and a revive. You think is worth adding ice block for the warden if you were running some kind of a strategy with the revenge deck? Like, for example, I think that potentially switching the Fireheart for the revenge deck, because you do typically see ice block spells in some fireball armies, and so having the ice block there, at least you have that flexibility whether you choose to use it to secure the warden or to get some extra value from the revenge deck. Noah, hey, what's going on? Well played, thank you. Although I still have another hit, and I think I'm really going for like 279 or something. I don't think I'm going for anything too spectacular. I wonder if there's a way I'm going to be able to set up my warden eventually going into the revenge home. Or maybe he should go through the... through the town hall is what I was gonna say, but obviously like all the heroes there, it looks like a nightmare to navigate the town hall with only the warden. That town hall is really looking like it's gonna pack a punch. I did land my fireball this time. If this Yeti is successful, it's amazing, because I think it is. It gets the expo, and so that means that this flinger should go on forever, right? That would be amazing. Okay, now is a good time for the furnaces, right? Because if they can get cooking on the monolith and stuff. And I still have the recall as a backup for the warden in case he gets into any real serious damage against the heroes. Hopefully this works. But yeah, take a look. I've got almost everything left. Done with air? Yeah, I kind of think that, first of all, I'm sick of it, right? But second of all, we will eventually find ourselves back in a ground-oriented meta at some point. Can you please guide to land the arrow and jetpack on bases that have a corner blocked with walls? If you're talking about bases like this, because like this, how the corners are blocked with walls. It's just a matter of practice, really. You can do some kind of tricks, like to, for example, rocket loons do have splash damage, and so if you position them correctly, then you can take out not only the mortars but also the gold mines to line up a perfect shot through the hero hall. That's a mechanic you can take advantage of, but in this particular hit, I just used the gold mine as the giant arrow target. Burner, hey, what's going on? You missed a big portion of my stream. Yeah, I'm done with now using fireball attacks. I'm going to be switching into throwers for the rest of the stream. I've just completed 16 hits with the fireball. The first account went 268, and then this one I think went 279. Doom use Ruin Witch Smash Attack? Absolutely not. That's the last thing I'll do is risk demoting myself over that. Why are you not using Super Witch? There's no particular reason. Honestly, I don't have any practice with them. That would probably be the biggest reason. Amazing attacks, thank you so much. I've been on throwers averaging plus 300, that's amazing. If you're averaging plus 300, I reckon you're definitely going to finish in the top 1,000. Yeah, so Doom got 268, and I'll check what I just did with Fear on my phone. But here I have to switch this whole army rate. And essentially, the way this army works is that you want to find some way to push the Duke into the core. That's like, that you have to utilize the throwers and the Queen to get the Duke in a position that can also funnel the throwers later into the attack. So there's definitely some things you got to watch out for in the timing. What's your reset being the season? I to be honest with you, I'm having a bit of a slow start to the season. I'm having ranks ranging from like 500 to 4,000. All this transitioning between the strategies has been killing my rank a little bit. I've been failing a bit extra. Are you going to use Revenge Check? This is with the Revenge Check. So let's see here. This base I typically see with an Invis Tower next to the Revenge Tower. But in this case I see Double Rage. The way I want to manage this is just by dropping my throwers on one side. My Queen on this side here. And then my Duke in between. And then running the... I think I'm just going to use poison right there. Now hopefully I have done most of this correctly enough. I do think it is a little bit suspicious how I managed it, but we shall see if it's going to work out or not. The Duke is still alive from the initial point of entry, so you can definitely say something good about that. But he does go into Phoenix now. I don't even know where to send the king. And I've just lost my Warden again. This is definitely not going well for me. Using the poison there was a mistake. I think I'm getting melted here, guys. Unfortunately. Those double witches just absolutely shut down the throw or something. Look at all those traps going on. It almost looks like a time fill though. Almost. But these air defenses are going to eventually kill off the Duke. Not quite a time fill, is it? 85% for this first attack. Although, the truth is, I don't have the practice that I need. How are the throwers going for you? That's a good question. That was my first attack on this account. I used throwers on the very, second day of the revenge deck, which was, I think, now 2 league days ago. And that did not go well for me, but I think that I was not exactly preparing my Duke in the best way. I think there were better things I could have done with the Duke. I did learn one important thing that you guys should also know, is that one of the best places to get value from the ice block is near an air defense. I do find that is absolutely the case. I don't want to put my Duke into a double sweeper. What I'm thinking is that I'm going to end up putting the Duke somewhere behind it. And then using the King. Or maybe the Queen here like this. So hopefully I've timed this all properly, and the nice thing about this approach is I can drop the troop launcher much earlier than what I typically do. Because now let's drop the King over here, and I can also drop some barbs back here to clean behind. Yeah, I must admit, not the cleanest pathing, huh? I'm just waiting for a good positioning for the ice block spell. Like maybe here is going to have to work. Just gonna invis him. We'll see whether this has the time to make it through to the end or not. But obviously I'm not wasting any time with the setup, right? So I have a minute to work with here. We'll see really if it's enough or not. The Duke finally goes into Phoenix. Let's revive the King now to hopefully pick up the monolith. And then swag a revive. Yeah, for all that went wrong. That's a free triple, isn't it, with a swag revive? Doors are not as easy. Yeah, I think that the beginning part is not as easy. Like, because at least with Fireball, you can come up with some pretty at least reasonable ideas in the first 30 seconds where to drop the flinger, where to drop the fireball. But with throwers, you have to have like some sort of like a future vision of where they're gonna go at the start. One King of the Hill, it'll happen soon. I'm definitely planning one, so keep an eye out. There was one supposed to happen last month, but we ended up running out of slots for Legend League, so I decided to host it this month instead. This base looks complicated. Like, not that straightforward for me, right? I think I'm gonna just drop the throwers here. And then try to manage the Guardian once I get there. The Guardian's really gonna be the biggest issue. Yeah, I did find myself forced to a Phoenix early, and I use Ice Ball. But you can sort of start to see at least how this pathing is starting to conspire a bit. It's not the cleanest, but... I think I'll revive at least the Warden once, since I still have throwers kicking as well. And the Duke is way over there, but I'm waiting for the Overgrowth. Well, guys, looking like a fail, isn't it? And yeah, this is what I mean about the spam, is that I clearly didn't have a good idea of the timing and the start. Going into the mono with throwers is yeah, it's a good idea, isn't it? Actually, because the monolith is like the biggest enemy of the Duke with this equipment. You're probably right. Maybe going into the monolith and sending the Duke into this air defense could have made sense. And I'm not sure if there would have been some way to manage this area with just the king and the queen, maybe. This town hall area, it looks a little risky. I kind of wanted to just play it safe. Which is your favorite skin set? I just purchased this skin set, the one from this month, and it does look pretty nice. I would rate it highly. I'm waiting for the cakes to help trigger the Invis Tower, just like that, and then I'll send the king into the town hall. This still might have been incorrect, but at least we can roll with this. Most of the throwers stuck together, which is obviously a good sign, right? My king's dead already, but at least I know for sure the town hall's safe. Just gonna put Overgrowth over the beautiful thing is obviously all these spells I have to manage with here. 2 revives, 2 freezes. and an Invis. Like, this is just overkill. And I'm not particularly doing a great job. Pretty cool attack there. Double swag revive. I got plus 302 with this army today. It's definitely strong, isn't it? Just 199% and 92. Yeah, that's not bad. It's definitely not bad. If you're doing that on the regular, then you should definitely find yourself in the global top 200. Like, the only thing you would be missing at that point is defense, right? Oh god, I definitely think that this is one of those bases where sending the Duke and the King into the Town Hall just makes sense. I wish I had a furnace. It would do good in this area. Like, what I'll do is I'll probably run the ice block in a second, like this, and then send the Duke. And while in those few seconds, while the Duke is tanking, then he can get some value, right? I guess the only unfortunate thing about the way this has gone so far is the fact that the long shot is still alive. Maybe I can poison now. It was probably a mistake to wait, obviously, all that long to do something about it, but it is what it is. So hopefully this is enough. It's looking decent. I still have a couple freezes to work with. I just swagged one, unfortunately. Unintentionally. But this gives me a good opportunity to clear the area of any air troops. To set up another good revive. I feel like I'm wasting time, but yeah, I'm not gonna get the exact angle I was looking for, unfortunately, so maybe wasting all that time with the revive wasn't the best idea. Maybe it wasn't. But obviously very strong. 293 yesterday also, yeah, that's pretty decent. And yeah, if you have experience with zap throwers, then you can definitely do a good job with this kind of a strategy. Where am I at right now? I'm only tripling every other hit so far with this. Okay, the plan here is definitely very clear for me, and might be a little bit difficult to execute, but I'll definitely try my best here. Let's see how I can eventually get the king out. This part's gonna take time here, but if it goes well, it's going to pay off. Extreme dividends. And I might have screwed it up already. We'll see. Yeah, Warden, please. I've definitely screwed this up. All I have to do now is prevent a 1-star from happening. Let's just send the king into the monolith. This might be a bit of a Hail Mary. I realize that. A Hail Mary attempt at fixing all that went wrong. At least the queen does a good job here of eliminating the air defense before she goes down. But this has to be the best chance to use the ice block, right? So hopefully I have time. Yeah, and I don't even have the force. It's too trapped up. Prasad, hey, what's going on? It's good to see you, bro. It's been a minute. It's already been at least almost a week since the latest stream, right? Where I had day 7 of CWL. I did use this week as a chance to catch up on work. I pretty much took the whole week of CWL off of work. The good thing about this particular layout is I think that the log launcher might be a bit easier to deliver. I could potentially think about the troop launcher as well, but I do think log launcher makes sense here. And I'll show you exactly why. Essentially, I'm trying to set up a thrower entry into the fire spitter compartment. I'll even use super barbs if I have to. I think I screwed this up already, which is unfortunate. Yeah, all of my throwers have decided to abandon me and go outside the base. Yeah, this is a little complicated for me, which I know it sounds silly to say because of how simple it is on paper, right? But I'm also the kind of attacker that prefers more concrete setups. This might be a 1-star. Very unfortunately. Look at this abuse from the Logger Guardian, but the throwers are smart enough at least to pick up the tunnel, which I guess I can appreciate, right? But obviously a train wreck of an attack. What's for the flank? Nothing, bro. It's YOLO. I'm really trying to use super barbs for the majority of my funneling, especially because the king doesn't have, like, the king has the angry jelly. You could argue that using the Frosty with the snake bracelet can work better in some cases to get a proper funneling for the Duke. But this is what I'm rolling with for now. At least just for the sake of data collecting, right? This did have success in esports. I will say that. I was tripling bases with this exact combination in esports. Maybe after this particular attack, I can do some friendly challenges to prove it to you guys. But I definitely still have quite a number of hits left. Okay, I'm gonna send my throwers here. In this case, I'll use the queen over here. This is definitely meant for a troop launcher, right? The way that all of those throwers are going. Yeah, it definitely hasn't gone well enough yet. It's not 100% clear to me the mistakes as well. So I do think I will be switching away from this pretty quickly. Let's send the king into the revenge zone. Almost starting to look like enough, isn't it? Yeah, in a way this army feels a bit like Hydra, in the sense that it really matters what kind of a split you get in the start. Although obviously in this case it could have been better. Try using fireball throwers. I would definitely give that a shot in certain bases. I have a feeling that would be good for esports. But for Legends, I'm not so sure about that. Not too sure. And I think that concludes my hits on this account. It does, 257, which is a bit below average, I must say. I would definitely want to see 280 or better to comfortably sit in the top 1,000. So definitely still some room for improvement on that strategy. I'm not sure how other people are making it look as effective yet. Not 100% sure. Any tips for your army? I think honestly I want to spend some more time with it myself before I give you any real tips. Other than, I guess, the biggest thing that a lot of people may not be aware of just yet is the fact that the one of the best spots to use the icebox spell is on the close by an air defense, because you do get pretty good counter damage on air defenses. That's one tip. Dex, hey, I've taken part in my first tournament. That's pretty cool, actually. You should text me on Discord, because I kind of want to check out what your attacks look like in esports. If you want tips on the attacks I'm doing, I'm essentially commentating over my attacks. You can always just ask questions. There is potential to set up a flinger over on one of these sides, right? But I'd have to land a pretty decent Yeti, I think. It's really not the easiest thing. And then I'm aiming here for a fireball close by the CC. I do have to find some kind of an entry point where I can get backpack arrow value from shooting the arrow near the top. Does look like I reacted in time to the expo, which is nice. So I do think that means my flinger shall go unimpeded, I should say, for a decent amount of time, right? Hopefully. But let's, yeah, that is unfortunately a mistake right there, isn't it? Isn't it? I did trigger the invis, which at least helps with setting up the giant arrow. I don't even know if this is the best value to go for anymore, but I'm going for it. Does look like the logger is following the giant, which is actually favorable for me, at least how this played on. I do have chances to revive my warden properly, which is going to help me a lot, at least to get the value back from the recall that I missed. Let's revive him now. And then send the healers. And so that does essentially resume the warden charge that I missed, right? Swag a couple invis. This is really what I've been rocking in the last couple days. I also reckon that stun is better than the deck. You think so? That's crazy. You think that a common piece of equipment is effectively better than an epic piece. But you also have to consider the strategy. At least the plan for the Duke, right? In some bases, you can get some amazing value from the Sun Blaster, right? But sometimes it's hard to pull off. I don't see many deck users in esports. I think the biggest thing is the fact that it's still early days. There's still going to be a lot of players missing the levels needed to compete with it properly. I do see an interesting flinger setup that might potentially give me a lot of value. And also a nice angle for the giant arrow backpack. Very nice. That's not nice. Already I've screwed it up just by putting that there. Oh, that's so unfortunate. What a way to start that. If I can still triple this, y'all better subscribe, because I definitely don't think it's going to be easy to pull off a recovery screwing up the flinger like that. No. I almost got screwed there. But thankfully the Raven took down the Tesla together with the Warden quickly enough. That almost really screwed me, didn't it? I did unfortunately miss the recall. I was actually just gonna say the giant arrow, but I also missed the recall. And so now I'm just gonna send the king into the town hall, just to be safe. A bit of an unfortunate mismanagement of the warden there, and I can't really even revive him. I've screwed it up. We'll see if the Duke can do a good job at least to get percentage right. I think that's kind of where we're at. %. You switch to hitting early? Yeah, I'm definitely doing some early hits now. But it's also like tomorrow's a day off for me, so I can definitely afford to stay up tonight. It's currently 11:53 p.m. for me. And Seneca, what's going on? Yeah, the King of the Hill was fun today, right? It was banned today? What was banned today? Oh, the revenge deck was probably banned from monthly finals. Today was stage 2, which was actually pretty entertaining to watch. There were a lot of throwers. Do you think this should be enough to pick up the expo, right? Hopefully. Nice Teslas. That was definitely a mistake to put those there. I'm actually starting this time with the Duke, which is a little bit unorthodox, but there's a method to my madness. Just like that. Most of the base has already been pretty well dealt with. So now I can think about where to send the king next. Probably gonna send him into the back of the other fire spirit. That was a nice invisor to snipe the air defense. Right as the dude got targeted. I should be able to swag some spells here. You sucked. I honestly didn't do that great today. And I'll be honest, I think the biggest reason is because I was doing them all on my phone. I wasn't actually on the iPad doing all of my hits. You missed your hits last week in Legends 1. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it only takes one day of skipped hits, and it's really because of all that auto defense. I think that's made it almost impossible to go even a day without attacks. Okay, where do we drop the flame flinger here? Yeah, these kinds of bases are pretty cancerous for the flinger, I must say. I'm just gonna deal with this. I was worried about that. Looks like the warden is unfortunately following some troops he shouldn't be. The monolith does remain standing there, but I do think that will eventually go down to some rocket loons later in the attack. Just like that. Although it wasn't a perfect management. I'm just waiting at least until I see a clear opening into the town hall like this. I did screw that up, right? So hopefully I've done enough, at least with the rest of the hits, that this can go through. Obviously, keeping an eye off of the warden ended up costing me in this case. I think it's pretty obvious to say that. But it is 3 stars nonetheless. Shine, hey, what's going on? It's good to see you, bro. I appreciate you tuning in, even with work. So far, these hits are going all right. Hopefully I can pull off 311. This is a member from July, so Cynic, if you're watching, I'm sorry. It does look like we're about to experience a little bit of friendly fire. You know what's particularly interesting about this base as well is that the Revenge Tower looks free. Although I could potentially be walking into some traps. But yeah, take a look. This Revenge Tower is 100% for free. Only if you reset. Yeah, to be honest, my rank hasn't been that great, so I'm surprised I'm even matching your guys. Because you have a lot of high rank players. But I will be coming back, I promise. Okay, I think we can begin to keep an eye on the queen. She does go down, which is nice. I'm gonna drop another furnace there, just in case it has any interaction with the enemy king. That will actually help me. I'm waiting for the expo to go down. Oh, good thing I saw this first. Oh, that's not where I intended that to go, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So obviously have a Invis tower to deal with, which I'm probably just going to manage like this. I'm probably failing here. And I've just recalled only healers. Only my healers. So maybe I can use them to assist the queen. That might potentially be viable here. Yeah, I'm getting destroyed here. Unfortunately to say. Fortunately for your mate, right? Clearly did not manage properly here. It's gonna fall in the 80s. Maybe not. 81%. Just barely. Alrighty, let's continue with the hits. I'll do 3 more, and then I'm probably going to call it almost good. I don't mind doing a few base visits after that, but I do think I should probably put a rest to the streams and give myself a chance to rest. I don't think I have the best plan, but I want to give it a shot anyway, just to see. Nice Tesla. That's probably just going to take the furnace out, and I guess I'll have to live with that. At least that does set up nicely the warden with the fireball. Just like so. And now hopefully the queen does have enough punch to at least make it into the back of the other fire spitter. She might not. I think in this case I'm just going to wait for the super wizard tower to go down. Main reason being it gives me a clear entry for the king into the revenge tower, which obviously with the fox and a few spare invis is quite valuable. So let's see if this has paid off. And unfortunately it does not look like it has. The placement was just not quite correct there. I guess we can try to think about reviving the Dukes as well. Obviously to counter any potential time issue. And I've just dropped my revive on nothing. I accidentally dropped my revive. I meant to drop my invis. So that does finish me. I honestly just wasted too much time anyway, trying to figure out what to do with the revive. Maybe that's a time fill. It might be. Not an easy strat. Yeah, it's not easy, right? You have to come up with a concrete plan for the warden from beginning to end in 30 seconds. And Krish, hey, what's going on? You went for some work. That's totally cool, bro. We all have work to do in our lives, right? I can definitely spot a nice flinger value down here though. So let's do a super minion here and a couple rocket loons. And I guess I'll test for a Tesla with just one baby archer there. I want to be careful about dropping a furnace down there because of the ricochet tower. I think I'm going to be able to save a quake here, thankfully. I do have 4 quakes to work with now, which is nice, as opposed to only 3 at this point. Did get some nice value there with the giant arrow rocket backpack setup. So this should definitely pay off in the end somewhat. This is already looking pretty nice. Hopefully the worm goes next to long shot, and he does, which is very nice. So now this gives me a clear opening to send my king hopefully into the revenge tower. he would be the best candidate for that. And there he goes. Hopefully he picks that up. Kind of almost misses it. And where's my Duke? He's way down here. I am hoping this is at least enough in terms of time. Another time fail. Very close. Very close. A good attempt, but I obviously need to come up with a quicker plan for the king than sending him with only 50 seconds. This base is so common. Yeah, this was used in the July monthly finals. Although it's not this particular variation, like you would see the fire spitters oriented differently. And this all down here looks pretty new, but it was pretty good value for the flame flinger. Wasn't it? One more attack. Almost 1K for monetization. Yeah, it's been a grind, hasn't it? A slow, steady grind. Trying to get subscribers, but to be honest with you, I'm not really looking at the sub count. I feel like as much as some of you guys are. This one might as well be complicated, but I can at least try to take advantage of the fact that the K-Catapult is low on its HP module. Do you have to use an extra rocket loon there? By mistake. I definitely think there was some way I could have saved that one last rocket loon. Hopefully the queen eventually converges with the troops from the flame flinger. That would be nice. And you know what's interesting is I don't typically see the queen going into the fire spitter like this, so she's definitely doing me some huge favors there. You know, but I say that just right as just I let her down there. Almost lost my warden there. Let's just recall. And here I get a direct pathing into the revenge shower. Which is nice. Three stars. I'm getting a pitbull from a shelter next Sunday. That's amazing, bro. I hope you take good care of him. And I hope he eventually grows to be a well-mannered dog. You know, Eclipson on YouTube, he uses Revenge Check with 2 Ice Block, but not the backpack. It's pretty nice. Yeah, I just tried that with the throwers a little bit earlier in the stream. And it was actually only 1 Ice Block, but I think I managed to get something like 279 with that. Let's check back. Yeah, I do have quite a lot of rescue animals myself. I've got 3 dogs and a lot of cats. There's a lot of cats. This is where I use the throwers, and I managed 257. This is with 2 revives, 1 ice block, and the angry jelly on the king with the stick horse and the giant gauntlet. So maybe I can learn a thing or two by watching Eclipson's YouTube channel. He might be pulling off some better numbers. But for me, the best I did with the strategy was like 297. That was like the best I did. Oh, you mean with the minions? That's pretty interesting, actually. You would switch a couple of these quakes probably to potentially run only 3 or 4 to bring some ice block. That's a interesting take. I'll have to check that out. Okay, this right here. The first thing I'm looking for is obviously where to drop the flinger. Although I must say it looks decently guarded. This might be a pretty decent base we're looking at here. I can already see a nice fireball though, set up on the revenge shower. So I just have to get this flinger going. I did make a mistake there. Very slight mistake. Obviously a nice fireball, right? And that means I can use the giant arrow backpack on the invis compartment. The nice thing is that this expo has locked onto my warden, so if I can let the warden take care of that, then that should give the flinger hopefully a little bit of extra shelf life there. Otherwise, now it would be going into the expo. You might find it a bit surprising I didn't run into those Teslas at the start. And the rest is all just purely crushed. I don't know about you, but these vibes are good tonight. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Another nice 3 stars. Yeah, I'm starting to feel a little spent, guys. It's 20 minutes past midnight for me. So these couple hits you're looking at might be my final hits for the night. This reminds me of the base that I screwed up the flame flinger, but I think I still managed to triple, right? Despite that. Let's try it again. And I do get the setup right this time, but obviously I need to drop the flinger just a little further. Like this, that way I don't worry about it going down so early. This fireball is going to take a bit of extra time to set up. That's the only thing I can say about that at the moment. Nice Teslas. One Tesla did pop up in front of my flinger, so I feel like this was almost meant to trap my strategy. That's at least what the traps are beginning to appear like, which is quite interesting. This time, thankfully, the revenge tower goes on. I remember that was also another previous complication, but I lost my warden anyway. Let's recall the healers. And I think we should just revive the warden and send the king here. And then hopefully this is enough. It looks very close. I might have screwed this up in the last moment. And there is the spiky ball. Just a couple buildings left. Another easy 3-source. Zaki Clashing, what's going on? It's good to see you. You did not get a notification. I wonder why that is. I know that YouTube is not very consistent sending notifications. So close. I did triple though. And I don't know how close that felt. Obviously the way I let the warden go down was not that great. However, it wasn't an issue in the end, clearly. I have a feeling I need to use a Yeti again over here. Like so. And that does work. I'm just going to test for a Tesla. And of course there are a couple, which is not ideal, is it? I've already ran into a complication there with the flinger, which is not nice. Yeah, this one hasn't gone ideally, has it? You can tell, obviously, because of the flinger. There's poison there on the CC troops. Now hopefully I have enough time to finish this off properly. There's a chance I don't. Yeah, obviously a time fill. Obviously a time fill. But still unfortunate, I guess. 96%. I got some defense coming in, so it might not convert to the worst thing in the world, but I think I am ready to call it good on the attacks. It's been a lot of hits, and I would like to do the rest while I'm feeling a bit more refreshed. This attack strategy is kind of skillful. Well, there is one player I can show you guys who is really performing quite well with this, and you guys should see that. Let me pull up the stats of this player, and I can promise you that he's using this exact combination because I got it from him in the chat of our server. It's this guy. And if you take a look at his previous days, you can see that it says 273 average offense, but when that's because he's +0 per today. But from day 2 through day 6, he's gone 320 using this strategy. The only fail he did was on day 1, and that was a 310. And from what I can gather with the strategy, I reckon that was just a time fail for him. That's what I reckon. Good to see nice variety of attacks today. Yeah, I definitely feel a bit refreshed using some new strategy. And bro, any good base for Legends 2? I don't think any such thing exists. I think really one of the biggest thing that matters is what kind of group you end up in. Anyway, this is one more hit. After this, I absolutely won't be touching anymore. I can promise that. I do think I have to do a little bit of managing here with the flinger for this to work properly, but if it works, then it works. And I do have to get lucky about these. Yeah, I've already missed this rocket limb, which now means that I'm not going to be able to take care of that other expo. I mean, we'll see. We'll see about that. I might be able to pull some tricks with a totem spell. Or maybe use an ice golem. The ice golems might end up working out for me. This looks pretty well managed for the most part. I did obviously waste a spell there. Let's revive the Duke as well. Might be too late. Maybe it wasn't the best timing of the revive there, but it's hard to go any later, right? When you only have like 40 seconds left. A nice base by Quasmi. This guy is obviously known for his rank, so he definitely got me there with that base. Maybe if I had done some quicker fireball, maybe. I think that waiting for the invis to go off doesn't always pay the dividends, because I noticed that the Town Hall goes down when you combine it with the giant arrow, the backpack, and the fireball, which I think it did in this case. So maybe just leaving long shot up and all these heroes would save me time. But yeah, you can see at this point the Town Hall went down. So I could have thought about just recalling the Warden right here and throwing him into this 9 o'clock corner to save a bunch of time, right? This is Creamy Strat. He is number 1 at Town Hall 17. Yeah, he did kind of coin this super minion, right? Obviously Fireball Rocket Loons has been around for a while, but adding the super minions was a nice touch to deal with the Town Hall and the obvious new mechanic of the Guardians, right? And yeah, guys, by the way, check out Clash with Zach, because on his channel he did post this player SKW, so his hits. I think he posted a couple days ago, like day 5, and I remember that because I got hit on day 5 with by him actually on this account. I can show you guys right here, hopefully. Maybe not. Maybe it was day 4. But anyway, yeah, that's a good point to call it on the stream. It's been fun, guys, I gotta say. It's been a wild ride, obviously, with the strategy, but I promise that I will improve and get myself back into decent rank. And yeah, alrighty, y'all. Have a great night, and yeah, take care, and peace.